I would appreciate it. Hi, YouTube. It's been a minute. Didn't get a chance to get live yesterday because we had the amazing Jasmine Crockett, representative from the great state of Texas, on with us, and we were able to get some more time. So, YouTube, this sometimes will happen. We love you, and we are so grateful that you get to participate in the Lurie Daniel Favors Show experience here on SiriusXM's Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. But sometimes that means that, unfortunately, we don't get to go live as often as we would like. So apologies, but can't really be too sorry, because we are going to talk about the conversation I had with Representative Jasmine Crockett in just a minute. We got a lot of ground to cover today, so I'm going to be speaking quickly, which is pretty much what I do every single day because it's a day ending in Y. But let's get into it, because in addition to talking about what happened on my show yesterday, where we made some news, if you have been paying attention, we also got to talk about the lingering impacts. I shouldn't even say lingering. It ain't no lingering about it. The current proactively horrific impacts of what's happening with this government shutdown. And as a kid who remembers not only living in a homeless shelter, but dealing with my own bouts of poverty in my early adulthood, I take these things very, very personally. So if I'm feeling a little impassioned more than usual, just know that there are reasons for this. But let's start with talking about what happened yesterday on the show. Now, Urban View, you all heard it live and direct. And for those of you who missed it, Jasmine Crockett broke some news, and she announced that she is going to be considering a run for the state of Texas Senate position. Now, for those of you who missed that, I want you all to take a listen to this clip. Amina's going to play it for us. Take a listen to what Representative Jasmine Crockett had to say. Now, you mentioned this district, and you have noted previously that your district has been redrawn. Do you plan to continue running to represent in the district that you will now be located in?
I have no idea where I'll run. These are my three options. Currently, we're waiting on the court to come down with a final opinion as to whether or not these lines will go into effect immediately or not. Our filing period is about to open, so they only have a little bit more time, because you got to know where you're running. So we're expecting that we're going to get a court ruling here shortly on whether or not the lines go into effect for this election. So the lines may stay like they are, which means nothing changes about my district. They may change to what was signed into law. And that means that I would be moved into another district. And then the other option is every other day there's a poll that comes out that makes it clear that I can win the primary for the U.S. Senate race in Texas. And I am looking, because if you want to take my seat of 766,000 away, I feel like there has to be some karma in that, to where I take your seat that is for 30 million away. Ooh. So we are, the primary is the primary. That's cool, but you got to win the general. So we are doing some testing here shortly to see if I can expand the electorate. I don't really believe in traditional polling because traditional polling, basically, you call somebody or you contact them, however you're going to contact them, and you ask them if they plan to vote. And if they say they're not planning to vote, then you end the questions. Right. But the reality is that when we ended up with the President Barack Obama, it was because of people that had never been inspired to vote deciding that they wanted to vote for him. Same thing with Donald Trump. And I think that the key to winning Texas isn't about looking at the current electorate. It's about expanding the electorate. So the question will be whether or not we believe that we've got enough juice to expand the electorate, and looking at those crosstabs and looking at which demographics are more inclined to come out who normally do not vote. If we can expand the electorate, then I will strongly be considering hopping in the Senate race.
Ooh, well, that made news, and I kept getting pings on my phone because I have a Google alert set to my name, and it was like every couple of minutes, ping, Lurie Daniel Favors, ping, Lurie Daniel Favors, and it was because of the response to that news. She had not previously announced that in quite such a fashion, so we want to, of course, thank the representative for being on this show, as we always do, but also that she found that this was a space that it was fitting for her to share that information there. Now, I say that, and I'm going to shift into a related topic. I just got to preface this by saying I am loath to deal with trash ass shit. I don't like gossip. My mama was really good about like saying we couldn't talk bad. We weren't allowed to call each other names as kids. We couldn't be like stupid. Like we weren't allowed to say stupid. We couldn't say anything that was like approximating like a name calling. If you called somebody a name, if you give them if you give them a bad name, you had to give them 3 put-ups. My mom was very, very intentional. So as a result, as an adult, I don't really like gossip. I don't like dealing with like who said what or who's sleeping with who, like the celebrity stuff. We don't do that on this show. It's a 2-hour show, and it's the only 2-hour show Monday through Friday on the network. And frankly, the other shows are 3-hour shows. So I am very grateful to be in this space. What that means is though I didn't got a whole lot of time to be dealing with the pop culture of it all. And so when people are trash talking other people, I generally don't really address it. Again, 2-hour show. We got actual news to cover and real issues. But when Stephen A. Smith who I have not previously discussed in any significant way on this show. But when Stephen A. Smith had Jasmine Crockett's name in his mouth, I knew that other people were going to handle it. I knew that there was really no need for me to get involved because y'all was going to handle it. But in case you missed what the man had to say, and he did have some things he wanted to say, he talked very extensively about Jasmine Crockett in some ways that I thought, well, this is trashy. This is not good at all. But I want you all to take a listen to this clip. This is Stephen A. Smith talking about Jasmine Crockett. And Amina, we're going to play this clip. This is just the first one. We're not going to do the second one because you guys will hear the second clip in the podcast. Lurie breaks it down, which will be out later on today. But take a listen to Stephen A. Smith as he could not keep Jasmine Crockett's name out his mouth. Take a listen.
You have every right to feel the way that you feel about him. You have every right to do everything that you can to vote him out of office, or in his case, the people that are under him, the J.D. Vances of the world, a Marco Rubio of the world, a Pam Bondi, a Kash Patel, and others. You have every right. You should be doing everything you can to win the midterm. But what I'm saying is, where is her rhetoric going to get her and the people she represents in the 30th Congressional District in Texas? What am I talking about?
What are you talking about?
To my producers.
Please share.
Could y'all play the clip when she's talking about the president as an enemy of the United States? Could you play that, please?
Your reaction to his appointment?
He needs to go. I mean, this is very simple. We right now have a white supremacist that is sitting in the White House. He is backed up by other white supremacists. And if you really want to know who the criminals are in this country, you can Google it. You don't have to trust me. But the people that commit 80% of the most violent crimes in this country are white supremacists.
Facts.
Yet for whatever reason, they sit and they serve at the pleasure of the president. They are the ones that were there on January 6th, tearing our democracy down physically. And now we have them tearing us down right here from within. Here is the problem.
Of course, Congresswoman, to interrupt you, but President Trump, of course, has denied any allegations of white supremacists, and that's why he apparently fired what he is. I know your point, but he did fire Darren Beatty in reaction, they believe, in part to his attendance at that conference. Does that change your opinion in any way?
No, it doesn't change my opinion.
So that's the first clip.
Okay, let's stop. Actually, let him keep going. Let him keep
President of the
playing.
United States that you're calling a white supremacist, and you're saying that the people who work under him are that as well. While you're in the government needing assistance from that administration to get things done for your constituency and beyond. Okay, that's clip number one.
Let's pause it there. Let's pause it. And again, I'll share the other clip in the podcast if you're interested in the commentary that I provide there. I encourage you to take a listen. It'll be out later on this afternoon around 2 o'clock or so. But the idea that this black man with one of the most far-reaching platforms as it pertains to American media, between sports and politics, oddly enough, it's kind of like when I heard that he was going to be in politics, shout out to whomever, I'm not one of people to say, shut up and dribble or just do what what is required of you in your lane. I think everyone has a voice and has the capacity to engage and participate. But when it comes to political engagement and critique, if you're going to have a platform, you got to know things, sir. You have to study a little bit. Otherwise, you open yourself up to critique, which I'm sure you don't care about because, frankly, you've built your career on this sort of critique. But when it comes to criticizing black women and creating a media storm, a firestorm around black women who, as Malcolm X told us, are the most disrespected people on the planet, at least have your facts straight, brother. because I can Google easily, is Donald Trump a racist? And the Google machine, it don't stop. It go page after page after page after page. In fact, is Donald Trump a racist is such a solid understanding of factual basis that in 2018, the New York Times had an article entitled Donald Trump's Racism, the Definitive List, updated, wherein they talk about, and as I cover this way more extensively in the podcast, but just a few examples. Did y'all know that Donald Trump was his companies were one of the first sets of companies to be sued by the federal government after the passage of the 1968 Fair Housing Act, which is one of the 3 pieces of federal legislation that shifted this country from proactively embracing Jim Crow to actually considering integration as a national goal? And Donald Trump in the 1970s basically was giving preferential treatment to white applicants, was avoiding renting to black applicants, such that the federal government had to make them part of the test casing to flesh out the powers of the 1968 Fair Housing Act. When it came to black employees who worked at his casinos, he said, and this is on the record, black guys counting my money. I hate it. I think the guy is lazy, and it's probably not his fault because laziness is a trait in the blacks. Like, that's a whole ass quote. That's a whole ass quote. He has talked about, we've already known about the fact that he put multiple newspapers, full page ads, which cost a lot of money, to basically call for the death penalty against 5 black children who, as a result of being falsely accused of raping a woman in Central Park, were called the Central Park 5. Years later, after being wholly exonerated from DNA evidence, they are now called the Exonerated 5. But does that matter to Donald Trump? No, who has still called for the death penalty and still called for them to be charged. In 1989, on NBC, Donald Trump says, I think sometimes a black may think they don't have an advantage or this or that. I've said on one occasion, if I had to start all over, I would love to be a well-educated black because I really believe they do have an actual advantage. He has used his 2016 campaign to talk about Mexican immigrants as criminals and rapists. He says MS-13 is language that applies to all the immigrants. In 2015, he called for a complete and total shutdown of Muslims coming into the country and refused to admit Muslim American citizens who happened to be outside of the country at the time that he issued the order. He said a federal judge who was hearing his case was biased because he was Mexican. In 2017, he said immigrants from Haiti all have AIDS. He said Nigerians, once they saw America, would never go back to their huts in Africa. He said that he called for the end of immigration from Haiti and Africa and more immigration from Norway, which has now been translated into American fucking federal policy, with an office of remigration being opened up to not only prevent anybody else melanated from coming into the country, expelling all the people who are melanated from the country. They don't give a damn if your family came here yesterday or 300 years ago, and refusing to allow even citizens who are not a good fit from being able to remain in the country. And who is a good fit? Stephen A. Smith. A good fit would be the South Afrikaner colonizers, who they already imported a whole host of and are planning to do even more. So to suggest that Jasmine Crockett was flawed in some way for pointing out an obvious truth that Ray Charles from the other side of Lurie, where the ancestors realm, where Stevie Wonder on this side of Lurie, where the future ancestors reside, something that they could see at midnight on a snowy day. You're going to expose a black woman who is at the top of her game to the types of vitriol that you poured on and opened up her to because you wanted to say she shouldn't have called the president, who is a fucking racist, a white supremacist? That's what we doing? And that's supposed to pass for political discourse? I'm disgusted. And not only am I disgusted, you should be ashamed. Now, I don't know you personally, but you should be ashamed of yourself for participating in furthering the disenfranchisement of black people. You should be ashamed. But, what do I know? I had to ask Jasmine Crockett about it, because I couldn't allow her to be on the show this length of time, having been excoriated the way that she was, and not have that be addressed. And so I asked Jasmine Crockett, what did you think about the fact that you have a man with a microphone who, quite frankly, can't handle the weight of said microphone due to the burden of the strength and the amount of his ego? What would you like to say? Would you like to say anything to a person who had something to say? And we didn't even mention the man's name. Didn't mention the man's name. Amina, do we have the clip where Jasmine Crockett responded? Okay, I want you all to take a listen to this. There's no video for this. This is audio. Take a listen to what Jasmine Crockett said when I asked her what she wanted to say, if anything, to people like this, who for some reason can't seem to keep her name out their mouth, even though everything else they got in their mouth is noise. Take a listen. I wanted to give you an opportunity, if you wish, to respond to some of the criticism you've received from some of the black men who have way too big of microphones that their egos obviously are struggling to carry.
Listen, I'm going to tell you this. The people have responded. And so I would rather spend my time thanking the people that have taken the time to do the research, that have taken the time to follow me, that understand the work that I'm doing, understand that I bring millions to my district, understand that I was lucky because I was able to work across the aisle and get one of 3 ARPA H locations to my district, that understand that I was able to get things into appropriations bills, that understand that I worked in a bipartisan way and was able to get President Joe Biden to sign the Transparency Act into law, that understand that the House has been out basically for the last 3 months and not working. And so even in still of us not working, I don't understand if some people just don't know how things work in Congress, but you got to be there to actually pass bills. And listen, I just say that there's no point in continuing to platform somebody who obviously wants to continue to dig in on this particular issue, right? Like, he's been corrected. Like, people have tried to educate him, and my constituents have spoken quite loudly as well, right? And at the end of the day, like, yo, I'm not your rep. Like, go holler at your rep. Like, do you even know who your rep is? Because your very juvenile or elementary understanding of politics in general is wild. And the fact that you are out here basically pandering because you believe that you can be president of the United States, I got news for you. I've been in this game long enough to know that if there's one person that won't be president of the United States, it is that person. Like, it's not gonna happen, right? Like, I mean,
Wait,
I get that
I
you
love
may
that
think
we
that
ain't had to say that person's name once and we on the same page. I love this.
No, like president, like, is not happening. Like, he
Let's
will make
leave it
through
there.
nobody.
Let's leave it there. We can take it down. I know we got time, and I want to get into some of these other issues because Urban View and I are about to have a conversation. And apparently, hit dogs holler, because just not even a full 2 hours. No, actually about 2.5 hours after that episode aired yesterday, after just 2.5 hours after she said that, your man's issued what I guess amounts to an apology and said that he wants for her to be able to run for Senate. He thinks she should consider running for higher office. And that's the only reason he said those things about her. That's the only reason he had her name in his mouth, was because he wants better for her. I'm going to give a bit of unsolicited advice. And as we are talking about community care, as we're talking about the responsibility that we hold for each other, if you want better for someone, you can demonstrate that by not holding them up in front of a metaphoric firing squad and allowing people who you already know hate that person taking aim and firing. Metaphorically speaking, if you were serious about that, and if we were to be expected to take you seriously, then you would not have, one, had her name in your mouth, but you also would not have allowed weeks to transpire where she is getting called out her name, she has been dragged. And then we know that this was a problem because even after that man issued an apology, then his followers were upset and called it too woke of an apology. Choose ye this day who ye shall serve. Shall ye serve the masters of white supremacy, who probably in some ways are connected to payouts? I get it. I understand. We are all balancing on the head of that pin. Or are you going to serve those who are truly in deference to community? Because everything Jasmine Crockett just said, because if you're worried about her ability to deliver for her constituents, what she just told you was the receipts of what she has brought to her constituency. And she is winning elections to the tune of upwards of 80%. So clearly her constituents are okay with it. She's bringing back goods and bringing home the veggie bacon, if you will, to make good on it. So why would we choose to highlight her as somebody who is worthy of scorn for saying what is true? Except for the fact that Malcolm X already explained the coonerificness. I don't think coonerificness is a thing, but we're going to make it a word. The coonerificness of this moment, which is that black women are the most disrespected. Unfortunately, that happens to happen a lot at the hands of folks like this. People who have more ego than sense when it comes to how we should navigate the waters in which we travel. Let's do better by our people. Let's do better by each other. Because if you're serious about loving black people, don't have their names in your mouth when they are doing the best that they can to fight against systems of white supremacy. Let's move on. I want to get into this story because Urban View, you and I are about to have a conversation on the other side of this commercial break. And I'm a little passionate about this particular topic because, again, as I shared with you all, I have spent a lot of time being poor. like not, not like half all my life. No, but it's a significant portion of my time. Like I remember the embarrassment of coming home from one of my 3 shifts at Penn State University and seeing a bag of groceries outside, 2 bags of groceries outside my dorm room, because my friends who were in the gospel choir with me, because I was in the United Soul Ensemble Gospel Choir, where I was chaplain for 3 years. Because yes, I don't just talk about the church. I be the church. I be in it like you should be the church. Like I be the church. And so my friends from the gospel choir had left secretly bags of groceries in front of my dorm room because they knew I was hungry. They knew I was hungry, and they knew I was coming to work, coming to gospel choir practice after my shifts, having taken a little bit of food because, I worked in the dining hall for reasons, right? And so they knew I was hungry. So I want to share with you all this clip. This is a sister by the name of Incense and Nonsense, and she is talking about the fact that she is one of the many who have been furloughed and what harm that has caused for her. Amina, I'm going to turn to the share the screen. I know we got to go into commercial break, so this is not going to be long segment. YouTube, you guys are going to stop here and pretty much after this video. Urban View, we're going to unpack all of this on the other side. But I want you all to take a listen to this sister, Incense and Nonsense, as she explains how the shutdown has impacted her. Let's see it.
Hey, y'all, good morning. So I have been really quiet about it, but I'm furloughed, right? And this is day 20. And I'm not sure you guys really understand what's going on if you're not experiencing it, but this is a lot. My last paycheck was short 3 days, right? And the next one that is due this week is not coming. But I've been at work, right? I've shown up to work and I've done the job, but I'm not getting paid. What's crazy is that some of the people up there, the powers that be, they're saying that we don't even deserve to get back pay. Everybody seems to be really quiet about it. Nobody's saying a thing. I'm watching the news right now. I've been watching the news. And I don't hear anything about the possibility of resolving this government shutdown. Nothing. Meanwhile, bills are due. And I know the first thing some of y'all are going to say is, well, don't you have savings? You know how easy it's going to be to deplete your savings when you're not getting paid at all? And you have no idea if and when you may be paid again? Credit card bills, car payments, mortgages, school tuition, not getting paid. They gave us a letter, right? And the letter is basically saying, to our creditors, hey, listen, she's not getting paid. So you think T-Mobile and Capital One care about what's going on with the government? Because they don't. What about groceries, huh? Am I supposed to do what these YNs do? Just run up into a store covered in black, just grabbing groceries and running out? That's what I'm supposed to do, huh? The fact that people really think it's okay to have people show up to work, because you have to come to work, because if you don't come to work, now the fear is, are you going to end up on some list of people who didn't come to work during the furlough and now you're terminated? So now you're coming to work. You're figuring out a way to get there, even though you really don't need to be spending that money right now. People are being threatened with termination if they don't show up. Making people have to work, not paying them. Doesn't that sound familiar? I'm hearing that they're saying that only people that are in law enforcement positions are going to be getting their paycheck because they're the ones risking their life. Excuse me. The minute I open my door to be a part of society, I am risking my life. These past 2.5 weeks have been very, very stressful to deal with. I can't help but think that these are the same people who were against women having abortions. But now women are having these babies. But now the jobs that they have are not paying them to take care of these babies. Because there's the government shutdown, that means no government benefits, which means no food stamps. So I had a job which made me ineligible for food stamps. But people who have food stamps are now not getting food stamps. So I can't even buy it with my paycheck or my food stamps. So what do you think people are going to start doing, people, powers that be? It's about to be the purge outside. Like, y'all don't see that? People are stressed. People are unhappy. People are now broke. Do you know how much a box of cereal costs? Box of Honey Nut Cheerios is now equivalent to 2 hours in a parking lot, okay? About $10. They didn't change the recipe. It's still the same B on that box. But now it costs $10. And you're not paying people just because? I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, I be smiling, but I'm stressed.
And I think that sister speaks for a lot of folks right now who are really going through it. We're going to pause here YouTube and get ready to go into our commercial break. I would just say the notions of community care that we were talking about in the moment of gratitude this morning, this is why these conversations are so important, because we are going to have each other's back. We're going to be exploring on the other side of the commercial break what is happening with food stamps, what is happening with federal workers. There are food lines right now that were budgeted for 150 people. Almost 400 people are showing up. And these are federal workers, people who right now, many of whom still have to go to work, as you heard there in that clip. We've got Head Start and daycare funding that, like food stamps, is about to run out. I don't know where working parents are going to drop off their kids. We've got daycares that are opening up food banks because the kids in the daycare and their parents might not have food at home. USA. USA. We're going to head to commercial break. Much more to come on the Lurie